Judges chapter 7 says, then Nedobal, who is Gideon. Anybody ever heard of Gideon before?
Islam.
Okay. Gideon is also known by his name Nedobal. Like many of us that were born with a different name other than what we were supposed to have.
Right.
Islam, a name that honored the European nations, and so on and so forth. Islam, until you proclaim your nationality, meet Prophet Noble Ali, press his hand, and you get your bay and your hill, which are the Moorish titles of nobility, return back to you. Okay? It says, then Nedobal, who is Gideon, and all the people who were there with him rose up early and encamped beside the spring of Hadar. And the camp of Midian was north of the hill of Gebath in the valley. And the Lord said to Gideon, the people that are with you are too many for me to deliver the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel should glory in themselves, saying, my own hand has made me victorious.
That's right.
See, a lot of times, the Father of the universe, or Allah, or whatever name, because you know, every nation has a name for what we refer to as Allah.
That's right.
All right? Some might refer to him as the great God. Others might refer to him as Jehovah.
Right.
Olodumare.
Right.
So on and so forth. There's many different names that this great God is known by. Right? But a lot of times when a victory is granted to you, right? If you're not rooted in the ways of your forefathers, you'll say, look what I did.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So Allah sometimes has to run you through the gauntlet to make you realize there's no way this could have been done except by way of Allah.
Praise Allah.
Islam?
Islam.
Verse 3, it says, now therefore, proclaim. It's a master's word.
That's right.
Proclaim, which means to publish or to declare. Now therefore proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whoever is fearful and trembling, let him stay behind and return from Mount Gilead. And there returned from the people 22,000 left them. Terrified.
Right.
Didn't want to stand with the man. Islam?
Islam.
And there remained 10,000. Verse 4. And the Lord said to Gideon, the people are still too many. Bring them down to the water, and I will try them.
That's right.
See, you know, in another school of thought, it says that, you know, you have to be tried, never denied, and willing to be tried again. Or in the great Quran of Muhammad, it tell you, do you think that you will say that you have faith and not be tested?
Right, right.
Right? You're going to be tried by what you say you believe.
Islam.
You want to be a father? You're going to be tried by your wife and children.
That's right.
You want to be a mother? You're going to be tried by
Islam.
your husband.
That's right.
And the children. Islam? You want to be a Moorish American? You're going to be tried by your family who's not Moorish.
Teach him here.
Islam?
Islam.
Let's move forward. It says, and I will try them for you there. And it shall be he of whom I say to you, this one shall go with you, the same shall go with you. And of whomsoever I say to you, this one shall not go with you, the same shall not go.
That's right.
See, in the Holy Quran, the Moorish Science of America, there's an instruction. And the instruction refers, you know, relates to submission and obedience. So it's in the instructions for the wife. A lot of times our sisters are here, submission and obedience. I ain't gonna submit no baby, obey no.
Right.
But then you cut over the master and servant that applies to man and female.
That's right.
And it says submission and obedience.
Islam.
Right? Because you submit, one of the ways for the word Muslim, right? Like when they do this. Right?
Islam.
Okay? Muslim, right? Or the anglicized version, Muslim.
Right.
We ain't gonna fight over that. Right? But this Muslim, right? If I do this, this becomes, what is it, Sister Zenobia?
Salam.
This is our future Arabic teacher, right? Praise Allah. Salam. Sister Zenobia, if I do this, what does it become?
Salam.
Salam. Salam. Salam means to submit. Salam means peace. But they share the same root.
That's right.
Which means that your peace or your tranquility comes via your submission to something greater than yourself.
That's right.
Islam?
Islam.
Why the Muslim, when when something is accomplished that he knows that's greater than himself, he screams out, Allahu Akbar.
That's right.
Allah is not the greatest, mistranslation.
Right.
Akbar comes from the word kabir, which means to be bigger or older than,
Right.
more grand than.
Mm-hmm.
But if convenient, Allah is the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
Islam?
Islam.
Verse 5. It says, so he brought the people down to the water, and the Lord said to Gideon, all who lap of the water with their tongues, as a dog laps, you shall make them stand together. Likewise, all who kneel down on their knees to drink, you shall make them stand together.
That's right.
Separating the wheat and the chaff, right?
That's right.
And the number of those that lapped, putting hand to mouth, was 300 men.
Islam.
And you thought the European invented that story about the 300.
Right.
They stole that too.
That's right.
This is about Gideon and 300 Israelite soldiers.
Teeth more.
One about, King Leonidas and Sparta. Wasn't about all that.
Islam.
Okay? It says, and none of those that lapped, putting their hands to mouth, was 300, but all the rest of the people knelt down upon their knees to drink water.
Mm-hmm.
7. And the Lord said to Gideon, by the 300 men that lapped, I will save you and deliver the Midianites into your hands. And let all the other people go, every man to his place. So the people took their provisions in their hands and their trumpets, and he dismissed all the children of Israel, every man to his possession and to his tent. And he relied upon those 300 men, and the camp of Midian was beneath him in the valley. And it goes in to show how that those 300 men, beat the camp of the Midianites by psychological operations.
That's right.
Okay?
Islam.
So it don't matter that it's a handful of people in this room.
Teach.
Doesn't matter.
Teach.
Because this is what Allah uses. Because again, let's share a story with y'all. An older Grand Sheik told me, he said, one time, there was a Grand Sheik in the Mosiah Temple of America. And he had a packed temple, right? Bunch of people in the temple. And all the people that were in the temple, they're screaming, Grand Sheik, we with you. We with you, Grand Sheik. We'll die for you, Grand Sheik. We with the prophet. We'll stand with you, whatever, right?
Right.
Right as all this, ruckus was going on, people, praising and flattering and doing all this stuff.
Right.
3 gunmen busted in the back of the temple. Came in the back of the temple. Everybody stand and put your hands up in the air. Everybody who ain't ready to die, get up out of here right now.
Islam.
Everybody except the Grand Sheik left. Islam?
Islam.
The gunmen took their masks off. Grand Sheik looked at them. Praise Allah. You thinking this is time to meet Allah, right? So the gunmen came in and they said, well, Grand Sheik, since all the clowns out of the way,
Islam.
I guess we can have a real temple meeting now.
That's right.
Islam or
Islam.
see, what happens is, when you with the masses of people sometimes,
That's right.
the prophet gives an instruction, he says, the public is unstable as well as ungrateful.
Mm-hmm.
Why should the wise man endanger himself with fools?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Don't look for the masses up front.
Islam.
Quality takes time over quantity.
That's
Quality is going to take you some time.
Mm-hmm.
Islam, but when it's right, you'll get more things done.
That's right.
Islam,
Islam.
when you got a group of people, sometimes the bureaucracy is great. Sometimes you can't get nothing done.
Mm-hmm.
You got the right, sincere people. Sometimes you can put the word out. Matter of fact, these ones come in the door asking, "What can I do to help the prophet?"
That's right.
Islam.
Islam.
I give honors to 3 Moorish Americans. They're not here, conveniently, but it's on the record. Brother Mosiah, our big brother that received his fez a couple weeks ago.
Islam.
Brother Akil Bey,
Islam.
and my son Yadalai, Ranesi-El, it's 10.
Islam.
These 3 brothers got together last week and patched the roof that was leaking. Our roof, like a couple weeks ago, we came and it was a rainy day. We would experience Noah and the flood.
Right.
Where's the ark at? You know what I'm saying? But these brothers got together, and Brother Akil and my son Yadalai, the 10-year-old, they got up on the roof, patched it,
Islam.
changed the ceiling tiles out,
Islam.
Islam, man, all is well, 5 minutes. In and out, 2 hours, done.
Right.
Islam?
Islam.
But see, these are ones that, and of course there's many other Moorish Americans I could mention that are in this room right now. Right? But I'm just using that as an example that, as John F. Kennedy said, ask not what your
That's right.
temple can do for you.
Mm-hmm.
Ask what you can do for your temple.
That's right.
Because if you're really behind these masters and these leaders that demonstrated and showed you the way.
Mm-hmm.
See, Marcus Garvey and Prophet Noble Drew Ali and Gideon and all these masters, they didn't talk about it.
Right.
You know, Allah spoke to them and said, this is what I need you to do.
That's right.
And no matter how crazy it sounded,
Mm-hmm.
can you imagine? You know, Allah speaking to Prophet Noble Drew Ali says, I need you to tell these people that just came out of slavery, chattel slavery, about 40 years ago. I need you to tell them that they're not Negroes, blacks, colors, or Ethiopians, but they're descended from the ancient Moorish Empire.
Right.
You know, from the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern, southwestern shores of Africa.
Right.
But they don't know nothing but Jesus.
That's right.
I got you on that. I'm going to give you this Holy Quran, the more science of America. You're going to compile, and you can teach them about Jesus, and even the missing years. I'm going to divinely prepare you, so that way when you go forward, you can raise these people up.
True.
Imagine the faith that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali had to have had
That's right.
to say, when the call was issued, if you go, I will follow. And he, after the third time, said, I'll go.
Yes, sir.
Islam,
Islam.
or Marcus Garvey, when he went all through Central and South America and looked at the conditions of Asiatics wherever he went, and it was the same.
That's right.
Under the foot of the European.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine when he said, you know what, I can't take it no more. And if you know anything about Marcus Garvey, he was a Leo.
That's right.
You know any Leos?
Yeah.
Leos don't play.
Right.
Leo is the sun. That's the center of the
That's
universe,
right.
the solar system. Islam,
Islam.
fire sign. Can't sit still.
Mm-hmm.
Islam,
Islam.
and if you look at the timeline that Marcus Garvey moved, if you look at the timeline that Noble Drew Ali moved, you say these men had to have been inspired by something otherworldly.
That's right.
No spookism attached, because my brother right there, just young, I know he had a long day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how long was the day that you think the Prophet Noble Drew Ali had?
Right.
Islam,
Right.
you know, I mean, there was times, you know, in the early days of the movement, you know, the Prophet had a job in the early days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Prophet was, you know, worked on the trains,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as a porter, you know, serves with that. He worked as a, you know, longshoreman, traveled overseas, stuff like on the boats, whatever, lifting, moving cargo and all that things. He had a job, right? But in the early part of the Canaanite movement, you know, he would set things up. If you ever look at his Egyptian adept student card, he said his office hours were from 10 to 12, I think from 7 to 9,
Mm-hmm.
because the other hours he had to work,
Islam.
right? But he still made time to get this work done,
That's right.
right? With no excuses.
That's right.
You know, if this movement really calls to you to change the condition of your people, you work around the clock,
Mm-hmm.
because your enemy does.
Islam.
I was watching an interview earlier this week with Damon Dash. So, love that brother. May Allah strengthen that brother too. He's a powerful brother. Damon Dash said, for your idea to work, anything that you're doing, you have to have someone advocating for that idea at least 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Mm.
At least, he said, because that's what your competition is doing.
Mm.
Some of the sheiks and I, in conversation years past, we were, you know, evolving higher thought. And we said, well, could you imagine if, you know, budgets finally weren't a problem, the finances were there. Okay, what then becomes our daily job every day, 8 hours a day, 5, 6, 7 days a week? What becomes, what's our obligation of that, right? If money is not a problem,
That's right.
you see? Because we spend so much of our lives chasing the dollar.
Right.
Well, we've made that God.
Mm-hmm.
We've made that the great God.
Right.
Islam?
Islam.
To the point where if the money's not a problem, sometimes you feel yourself losing your grind,
Mm.
right? Because you wake up every day to go grind for money.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's not the problem, then what are we doing, right? Uplifting fallen humanity is the only thing after that.
Islam.
Islam, you use the finances to uplift fallen humanity.
Right.
You use the finances to change government so that way no one's oppressed on earth.
Mm.
That's a Muslim's duty, to make sure there's no injustices done to any of the innocents on the earth.
Holy Grail.
Islam was?
Islam.
All right? Next, we're going to leave the Holy Bible to the side. We're going to the Great Quran of Muhammad. Since our chairman was gracious enough to introduce that. And yes, this Great Quran of Muhammad has been read to death. Doesn't have a binding. I got to be very careful over here. We're going to go to Surah 18, chapter 18, which is known as Surah Al-Kahf. Excuse me, Khaf. 18, ayat 60. Bismillahir ar-Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful. Says, verse 60, behold, Moses said to his attendant, I would not give up until I reach the junction of the two seas, which is the junction of the two Niles that meet up in Sudan at a place called Tuti. Okay? Until I spend years and years in travel. But when they got to the junction, they forgot about their fish, which took its course through the sea, straight as in a tunnel. When they had passed on some distance, Moses said to his attendant, bring us our early meal. Truly we have suffered much fatigue at this stage of our journey. He replied, sawest thou what happened when we betook ourselves to the rock? I did indeed forget about the fish. None but Shaitan or Satan made me forget to tell you about it. It took its course through the sea in a most marvelous way. Moses said, that was what we were seeking after, meaning that was a sign. So they went back on their footsteps, following the path that they had come, tracing themselves back so they can know. So they found one of our servants, on whom we had bestowed mercy from ourselves, and whom we had taught knowledge from our own presence. And that servant's name is El-Khidr. El-Khidr, K-H-I-D-R, Khidr. El-Khidr means the green one. Khidr comes from the Arabic word Ahdar, which means green, right? El-Khidr is the angel Michael, known in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 7, as the one that cast out Satan. Islam? Green is the color of the heart chakra. Right? This is the being that governs the heart. The Elohim that governs the heart. Islam? The sacred place where Allah dwells. Right? 66. Moses said to him, may I follow thee on the footing that thou teach me something of the higher truth which thou hast been taught. This Michael is also known as Melchizedek. So Moses was petitioning to be, a student of this Melchizedek, or this El-Khidr. 67. The other said, this is El-Khidr, verily thou wilt not be able to have patience with me. 68. For how canst thou have patience about things which are beyond your knowledge? Moses said, thou wilt find me, if Allah so will, truly patient, nor shall I disobey thee in aught. The other said, if then thou wouldst follow me, ask me no questions about anything until I myself speak to thee concerning. So imagine you become the student of some master, some great master, right? Part of your initiatory process is that no matter what the master does along the way, you can't ask a question about what it is. No matter how strange it may seem or foreign, right? You have to have faith in the ability of the master to teach the truth. Islam? 71. It says, so they proceeded until they were in the boat and he scuttled it, meaning he put a hole in the boat. Right? Said Moses, hast thou scuttled it in order to drown those in it? Truly a strange thing thou hast done. He, meaning El-Khidr, answered, did I not tell thee that thou canst not have no patience with me? Moses said, rebuke me not for forgetting, nor grieve me by raising difficulties in my case. You know that's how people. When you call them on it, they take the straight back door. Islam? Says 74. Then they proceeded until when they met a young boy, he slew him. Al-Khidr killed him. Moses said, hast thou slain an innocent person? Who has slain none? Truly a foul and unheard of thing thou hast done. 75. He answered, did I not tell thee that thou canst not have patience with me? Moses said, if I ever ask thee about anything after this, keep me not in thy company, then wouldst thou have received full excuse from my side. 77. Then they proceeded until when they came to the inhabitants of a town, they asked them for food, but they refused them hospitality. They found there a wall on the point of falling down, but he set it up straight. Moses said, if thou hadst wished, surely thou could have exacted some recompense for it. Or in other words, you could have went to the people, we could have got paid for that. 78. He answered, this is the parting between me and thee. Now will I tell thee the interpretations of those things over which thou wast unable to hold patience. As for the boat, it belonged to a certain man in dire want. They plowed on the water. I but wish to render it unserviceable, for there was after them a certain king who seized on every boat by force. As for the youth, his parents were people of faith, and we feared that he would grieve them by obstinate rebellion and ingratitude towards Allah. So we desire, notice this is Al-Hidr talking, but he doesn't say I desire. So we desire, because in Arabic the term is nahnu. So when the angels speak, they speak in terms of we, not I. Okay? Therein is a parable for you. To get out that individualism, that's, you know, that you don't move on your own. You move as a Moorish American on behalf of other Moorish Americans and Asiatics. Asiatics and Muslims. Islam Moors?
Yes, sir.
81. So we desired that their Lord would give them in exchange a son better in purity of conduct and closer in affection. 82. As for the wall, it belonged to two youths, orphans. In the town, there was beneath it a buried treasure to which they were entitled. Their father had been a righteous man. So thy Lord desired that they should attain their age of full strength and get out their treasure a mercy and favor from thy Lord. I did it not of my own accord. Such is the interpretation of those things over which thou was unable to hold patience. Islam Moors, Prophet Noble Drali is begging you Moors, be patient. Be strong. Love one another, no matter how difficult it is. There's going to be reasons going to crop up that's going to make you think that apparently you should hate this person.
Right.
But that's only an illusion.
It's not.
Because at the end of the day, yes, you know, that your enemy is the inner me, right?
That's right.
But you also have external enemies too. Don't delude yourself.
That's right.
Right? The Quran of Mecca talks about an open and avowed enemy to man. Right? And says that this enemy seeks to prove to Allah daily that y'all ain't worthy of anything higher than servitude or enslavement. Right? This enemy's job is to be in front of you, behind you, to your left, and to your right. You turn on the radio, there he is. Turn on the television, there he is.
That's right.
You give your children cell phones to communicate with them, Shaitan's all on the internet, on the phone. Right? So now these children have a greater access of ways to destroy themselves that we didn't have.
That's right. That's true.
Right?
That's right.
Now, we had some ways now. Right? But now they have more creative ways. See, back in our day, we didn't have access to prescription medication.
That's right.
You didn't have access, if Percocet existed back then, I don't know. Right? But if it did, we didn't have access to it.
That's right.
That was on the other side of the tracks. Islam, but now, via the internet, they got access to everything. Right? So Satan is everywhere. Right? Satan is just that adverse force, whether it be internal or external. Islam, but all the prophets of old, because all the prophets constitute one brotherhood. You know? The prophets and prophetesses. They don't like to talk about those sisters as prophets, right? But they constitute one council, right? With one message. Technically, there was only one prophet that ever came to humanity.
That's right.
There was only one. Sounds like thousands, though. You know, I've read one hadith on the Muslims, the Arabs. They say that it was 124,000 prophets and 314 apostles. No, there wasn't. There was only one prophet that came. Y'all didn't know that? Right? But that one prophet, that one spirit, kept jumping forms, kept taking on different bodies, depending on the nation that it had to come to.
That's right.
Islam? So when it went to Arabia, it became known as Muhammad, right? Which wasn't even his birth name. His birth name was Ahmed.
That's right.
Pray, one. It just meant praise. Muhammad doesn't mean one who's worthy of praise. That's a trick to Arabic. The word worthy is not even in it. It's one who praises.
That's right.
Islam, he received that after he received the degree of prophethood. At 40, we might add. You know, which, that letter right there, mean, the numerical equivalent is 40.
That's right.
Right? So you had two prophets. Moses and Muhammad. When did both become prophets? At 40. Islam? How many weeks of pregnancy?
That's right.
40 weeks. What does the mean look like? Sperm cell.
Islam.
This thing ain't thrown together.
That's right.
Y'all better study the ways of your forefathers.
Yes, sir.
Be yourself and nobody else.
Islam.
You know, everything will be good. It says, seek ye the kingdom of heaven first. All these things will be added unto you.
That's right.
Islam?
Islam.
So as to not burden the Moors. I have one more record I'd like to draw from. And we got to draw home with the Holy Quran and Mosiah state of America, right? This is the written law for Moorish Americans. Islam?
Islam.
Chapter 15. Y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
Praise Allah. Chapter 15. Verse 1 is very auspicious and important, especially because it starts off talking about the harbinger.
Yes, sir.
Chapter 15, divine ministry of Jesus. Jesus goes to the wilderness for self-examination, where he remains 40 days. Is subjected to 3 temptations he overcomes. Returns to the camp of John and begins teaching. And that 15 is XV, by the way. Just make sure everybody's there. You got it. Verse 1. The harbinger had paved the way. The Logos had been introduced to men as love made manifest. And he must now begin his divine ministry. And he went forth into the wilderness to be alone with Allah, that he might look into his inner heart. Not his heart, but his inner heart. Real quick, let me pause there. There's 2 words in Arabic. The word qalb. Qalb means the physical heart. There's the word afidat. Afidat is your inner heart. That's the seat that the physical heart sits in. Islam, somebody says you broke my heart, they're not talking about the physical heart. Okay? Moving forward. And that again, it says he went forth into the wilderness to be alone with Allah, that he might look into his inner heart and note its strength and worthiness. And with himself he talked. He said, my lower self is strong. That's a prophet admitting that.
That's right.
My lower self is strong. By many ties I am bound down to carnal life. Have I the strength to overcome and give my life a willing sacrifice for men? When I shall stand before the face of men and they demand a proof of my messiahship, what will I say? And then the tempter came and said, if you be son of Allah, command these stones to turn to bread. And Jesus said, who is it that demands a test? It is no sign that one is son of Allah, because he does a miracle. The devils can do mighty things. You know, that's the thing. I think we dealt with that last week, but, you know, when people hear the term prophet, they immediately get to asking, well, what's the miracle that he performed?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Could he walk on water? Could he bring manna down from heaven? You know, could he split the heavens? Could he break dance? I mean, what? You know, signs and wonders, right?
Right.
So it's not a sign and wonder enough that he changed the condition of the people. That's not enough. It just shows the carnal nature of the people. It says, did not the Gentile magicians do great things before the Pharaoh? My words and deeds in all the walks of life shall be the proof of my messiahship.
Yes, Lord.
And then the tempter said, if you will go into Jerusalem and from the temple pinnacle, cast down yourself to the earth, the people will believe that you are the Messiah sent from Allah. He's tempting them to be a martyr. Islam says, this you can surely do, for did not David say, he gives his angels charge concerning you, and with their hands will they uphold, lest you shall fall. And Jesus said, I will not tempt the Lord my God Allah. And then the tempter said, look forth upon the world, behold all its honors and its fame, behold its pleasures and its wealth. If you will give your life to these, they shall be yours. But Jesus said, away from me all tempting thoughts. My heart is fixed. I spurn this carnal self with all its vain ambition and its pride. For 40 days did Jesus wrestle with his carnal self. His higher self prevailed. He then was hungry, but his friends had found him and they ministered unto him. He didn't say disciples, he said his friends. Okay? Then Jesus left the wilderness, and in the consciousness of the holy breath, he came into the camps of John and taught. Islam? So he was teaching simultaneously with the forerunner. Islam? So a lot of times people think that when prophets come, a lot of times people think that when prophets come, they come one, and then another one comes out. Sometimes they don't think at the same time. doing what they do.
That's right.
Islam? And a lot of times, they'll have alliances with each other that we don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
You see? So there'll be various different masters, various different schools of thought that got an agreement worked out. Like, look, we got to get together.
That's right.
You know, and get these people together.
That's right.
I'm going to get them together in the language that they understand that I was taught to teach them.
Mm-hmm.
You do the same over there.
Teach.
Right?
That's
But
right.
our political agendas will be the same.
Islam.
And we'll usher the people to that same thing. And next thing you know, these two, apparently diverse or variant groups of people will be standing next to each other in the same environment.
Islam.
But what you doing is the same thing you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll see that they have more in common than not.
That's right.
Islam?
Islam.
So, going from the message of Gideon to the message of Musa or Moses and Al-Khidr, and going to the message of Jesus, right? You can get to see a theme weaving itself. That theme is one of faith and patience, right? Because you can't accomplish any task unless you have faith and patience, right? Faith is not what, your background in the church led you to believe, right? Even in the Bible, when they mention it, there's, in that definition, it mentions substance and evidence.
That's right.
Islam?
Islam.
All right? And the Holy Quran, the Mosiah of America says faith is that which man knows is true.
Islam.
You fill your car up with gas, right? You know you can make it around 285, right? If you're a breath away from E, that's not faith, that's belief if you attempt to go around 285, which is a highway that goes around.
Islam.
Islam?
Islam.
Faith deals with knowledge.
That's right.
The two are inexplicably linked. The word in the Arabic is iman, right? Comes from the amana, so to have a whole, like, when you have faith in something, that means your whole being knows it's true.
There you go.
You see? Have you seen something that you know is so real that can't nobody tell you it's not?
Right.
That's faith.
Islam.
Islam? And to develop that degree of faith, it takes patience.
That's right.
Right?
True.
Patience in Arabic is sabr. Right? It's actually of Allah's 99 attributes.
Islam.
It's the last one. Okay? Right? Technically, it's not the last one because they tell you it's 99 plus 1.
Right.
They don't just say 100. It's 99 plus 1. Because most never get to the plus 1. They spend a lifetime mastering 99 attributes. But that word sabr, the root of that is sabun. Now, sabun means soap. Because what patience does, when you're patient, it cleanses the soul and spirit.
Islam.
Like in other words, anybody would train any martial arts, boxing,
Islam.
MMA, hood fighting, any? Come on, boys. Y'all acting like y'all can't fight it, man. Who y'all fooling? I know you can fight. You are Aries. We know, since out here, we know you can fight, sister. You proclaim that thing too. Praise Allah. Right? But somebody ever get on your nerves so bad? Hold on, I ain't finished yet. She already shaking her head and patting her foot. Somebody ever get on your nerves so bad, right? And you know, skill-wise, what you can do. It's not a doubt in you that you know I can knock this person down with no problem, with ease. But you decide to let it go. A, because you don't have bail money. That's usually A. It's not the highest stuff usually, right? And then B, it's like, I just don't feel like getting into that right now. Masterful power. And the power of knowing that you could do something to somebody, but you yield. That's a divinity. Only a God can do that. But nobody taught you that's a godly ability. Right? Because we're so bound in hate. Right? And so bound in impulse and acting on response. That's what animals do. The only thing that separates you from the animal kingdom is reason. That's it. The fact that you can think like, nah, I'm gonna let him live. Now I'm not gonna say what I was just about to say. That was something else. I had to put out Mr. Holy. But the point is that you let that person live another day. Islam? So you're not that far away from ruling than you think. Sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit. You know what I'm saying? Like when somebody does something that's divine, and you see it, it's your obligation to let them know that what they did was divine. Because who's in our corner that's going to tell our people they did something great if they're not benefiting from it? Islam? I went to, earlier this week, I stopped at a Vietnamese noodle shop. Go there and get soups and stuff. And leaving out, they had a business director. And It should be somewhere on that back shelf if you can. Right there, the green book, right in front of you. Thank you, Mark. So, thank you, Mark. You know, more is talk, you know, we need businesses, we need to go, we need to do this, we need to do, right? But, and there's a reason why the prophet taught us that, you know, you don't speak radical or agitating against other organized groups. Because there's something in what they're doing that you could learn from.
That's right.
If you put your hate aside. Islam.
Islam.
This right here is the business directory for the Vietnamese community in Atlanta. Okay? 90% of this book is in Vietnamese. So a lot of it I can't tell you. But they were merciful enough to put certain things in here that are in English. Healthcare, lawyers, restaurants, travel,
Right.
you name it. So if a Vietnamese, one of Vietnamese national descent wants to support Vietnamese businesses, they don't have to do guesswork.
That's right.
Take pick this up. Who, you know, I need a lawyer. Ah, here goes 3 in here. Let me call around and see who best support, and they dealing with their own kith and kin.
That's right.
Islam,
Islam.
this is nationality.
That's right.
See, when you on Prophet Noble Raleigh, Marcus Garvey, if you on that, that becomes your vibration. You begin to magnetize that ideal, and no matter where you go, that's all you'll see.
Islam.
You know, my grandmother, in teaching my aunts how to be better wives, would teach, you know, my aunts and my mother as well, said, if you go looking for the worst in a person, that's what you'll find.
That's right.
If you go looking for the best in them, that's all you'll see, the best in them, you know? And most of us, because of the scars that we have on our backs and on our soul, we go into situations thinking the worst. And guess what happens? The worst.
That's right.
You know?
Islam.
So, as Moorish Americans, you know, and especially, you know, if Allah chooses you to become a sheik in this movement, your whole everything makes you a referee. Breaking up groups, because it's conflict resolution. That's something else, another skill set our people haven't learned. That when we beef, how do we solve it?
Right.
Right? What do you think Crip versus Blood is?
Right.
You know, Stone versus GD is. That's all that it is. You know, brothers that feel something and don't know how to deal with their feelings.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you know, brothers, y'all know we got an X chromosome too. We're not too wide. If you were too wide, a double wide arrangement, you'd be a raving lunatic. You need that X to cool it off, right? Which, by the way, I was watching a documentary on the military, and they said there's 2% of the human population that are total psychopaths. How do they know them? They know them by, these are the people that when they join the military, they have no problem killing from day one. So they don't need basic training to get them, because that's what basic is, you know, and there's some of them that's been in the military, you can, you know, talk to them in this room. You can talk to them after the meeting. But they'll render you a favorable reply that basic is designed to get you to override your civilian instincts, right? And to get that hesitation out of you.
Right.
Because in battle, hesitation to get you and everybody around you killed.
That's right.
Right? However, there's a certain aspect of the population, 2%, only 2, right? That from the day they get in, I can't wait to kill somebody. Right? Where the next war? I'm so glad President Trump is president. You see what I'm saying? There's some people walking around right now with this North Korea thing. They can't wait to set it off.
Yeah.
Islam?
Islam.
Praise Allah that y'all ain't like that. But some of our people are.
Islam.
We even got to have something for them. Islam? Because 9 times out of 10, you know what they never heard? I love you.
That's right.
9 times out of 10, that person never received. You know how people joke, that joke need a hug. You heard it before?
That's right.
He probably really does.
That's right.
Probably never had a hug in his life. Islam?
Islam.
And I'm not telling you that this work is not going to be frustrating. It is. You know, you're going to be tried like we talked about. You know, you're going to be tried just like Moses was. You know, and even if you seemingly fail your test, right? Prophet tells you there's no failure for the human soul.
Islam.
You can't fail the test. It's impossible. Because even in that was a lesson. Right?
Right.
Negro, black, and colored was a lesson.
Islam.
Right? So if nothing else, y'all are adepts at hate. Y'all know hate. Well, I don't have to teach y'all nothing about hate. Y'all know what that is. Love is a different story.
Islam.
You gotta learn that, and it ain't easy. Right?
Islam.
But if you call in that holy breath, that internal, right? You cleanse your head and your thoughts, right? And allow yourself to think positive thoughts.
That's right.
And allow yourself to be around the right people that are also thinking those type of thoughts,
There you go.
that when you begin to fall off, they can pull your coattail.
Islam.
Islam, more, come on back over here.
Islam.
I ain't gonna let you fail.
That's right.
You know, that's family. Most of us growing up didn't have that.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us come from broken structures and we're broken adults. Most of us, right?
Right.
But that's an illusion, because you're not broken,
That's right.
right? Because your spirit is divine.
Peace.
Islam?
Islam.
So study, study, study. If you come back and ask me what to study after that, I say study some more.
That's right.
Study yourself. Islam?
Islam.
All right? So go around the different international groups
Mm-hmm.
and see how they operate, see how they roll,
That's right.
right? See how they do the economic pools of money,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where it rolls around, where somebody gets, you know, somebody gets that pot every month,
Mm-hmm.
so on and so forth. See, they're doing things where how they're growing fast, and you don't understand how they're growing.
Exactly.
Islam? But you can only receive that if you're around people, because now that you have a nationality, you can go around other people with nationalities.
That's right.
Islam, Morris?
Islam.
Okay. Are there any questions, comments, concerns, or statements? All right. If they're not, what I'll do is I will lower the meeting. Give you the opportunity one more time to ask any questions. If not, we'll close with prayer and then we will get y'all back to your families. Islam, Morris?
Islam.
Islam?
Islam.
Mosiah Temple of America, Noble Drew Ali founder, home office, Chicago, Illinois, March 11th, 1929. A warning from the prophet to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speech while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Drew Ali. Islam? Islam. Islam? Islam. 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 All praises are due to Allah, the highest of honors to his holy and divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and his forerunner, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah. Islam.